Tonight, before bed, there's a ritual most people perform without realizing it. The lights go off, the door locks, the thermostat drops a few degrees, the phone hits the nightstand, then comes the pillow, the blanket, the particular position that always works, and within minutes, consciousness dissolves into something quiet and controlled. That is sleep in 2026. A private event. A managed event. Now strip all of it away. No door, no walls, no roof, no blanket, no phone, just skin, darkness, and whatever is out there in it, because something always is. That is the question that almost never gets asked about early humans. Not what they ate, not how they hunted, not what they believed, but where and how they closed their eyes every single night for 2 million years before a single structure existed on this planet. The answer is not what most people would assume, and it changes something fundamental about what sleep actually is. For most of human history, sleep wasn't rest, it was a gamble. The oldest human ancestor to show evidence of intentional sleep behavior wasn't building caves, wasn't digging shelters, was choosing trees. And that single decision, which branch, which fork, which height above the ground, was one of the most consequential choices a hominin could make, because making it wrong meant not waking up at all. Archaeologist David Sampson at the University of Toronto has spent years studying the sleep architecture of modern great apes, chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas, as a proxy for understanding pre-shelter human sleep. What his team found, published in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology, reframes the entire timeline. Chimpanzees construct fresh sleeping platforms every single night. Not nests in the cozy sense, engineered beds. They select specific tree species for rigidity, bend and interlace branches for lateral support, and position the structure at a height calculated, behaviorally if not consciously, to balance predator avoidance against fall risk. The platforms are built in under 5 minutes, but the selection process, the scouting, the testing of branch strength, the reading of the canopy takes far longer. That is not instinct. That is skill, and it is almost certainly inherited from a lineage that includes every human alive today. But here is the part that should feel strange. Modern humans are the only great ape that abandoned tree, sleeping almost entirely. Chimpanzees do it every night. Orangutans do it every night. Gorillas, the heaviest of the apes, construct ground nests but site them with the same strategic logic. Humans stopped. Why would a species voluntarily give up the one behavior that kept its ancestors alive in the dark? Anthropologist Charles Nunn at Duke University, along with David Sampson, published a comparative sleep study in 2015 in the journal Evolutionary Anthropology that offered one of the first serious answers to that question. Their finding was counterintuitive. Humans sleep less than every other primate, averaging just 7 hours against the chimpanzee's 9.5. But the sleep humans do get is dramatically more efficient. Humans spend a far higher proportion of their sleep in REM, the deep, cognitively restorative phase, than any other ape. Nunn and Sampson's hypothesis, when early Homo descended from the trees and began sleeping on the ground, they became more vulnerable, not less. But that vulnerability forced a trade. Lighter, more efficient sleep. More REM packed into a shorter window. The brain, under pressure, learned to do more with less. The predator-rich savanna did not just shape how humans hunted, it shaped how humans dreamed. So, what did ground sleeping actually look like before shelter? The earliest direct physical evidence comes from Sibutu Cave in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, where archaeologist Lynn Wadley of the University of the Witwatersrand excavated what are now the oldest known sleeping sites on record. Published in Science in 2011, Wadley's team uncovered compacted layers of sedge and grass dating to 77,000 years ago, deliberately constructed beds, topped with aromatic leaves from the Cryptocarya woodii tree, which has natural insecticidal properties. These were not accidental accumulations. The plants were selected, replaced over time, burned periodically, almost certainly to kill parasites, and rebuilt on top of the ash. The people sleeping in Sibutu Cave were not simply lying down wherever was flat. They were managing their sleep environment with the same intentionality a modern person brings to thread count and mattress firmness. The insect-repelling leaves are particularly striking. They suggest these ancient humans understood, on some level, that the surface they slept on was a vector for harm. They did not have the vocabulary for it, but they had the behavior. Wadley's discovery pushed intentional bedding back further than any previous estimate, and immediately raised a harder question. If humans were engineering sleep surfaces humans 77,000 years ago inside a cave. What were they doing in the open? Before caves, before fire was reliably controlled, before any fixed location at all? The answer, pieced together from skeletal evidence and behavioral ecology, is that early humans almost certainly slept in groups. Not because of warmth alone, because of vigilance. Jerome Siegel at UCLA's Semel Institute for Neuroscience has studied the sleep of 3 pre-industrial hunter-gatherer societies: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimanian of Bolivia, comparing their natural sleep patterns to the assumptions embedded in modern sleep medicine. His findings, published in Current Biology in 2015, demolished one of the most persistent ideas about ancestral sleep: that ancient humans slept with the sun, rising at dawn and sleeping at dusk. None of the 3 societies did this. All 3 went to sleep hours after sunset, on average. All 3 woke before dawn. And critically, their sleep times within each community were staggered. Some individuals were still awake when others were already deep in sleep. Some rose in the night when others hadn't yet stirred. Siegel's team calculated that across the Hadza sample, there were only about 18 minutes per night during which every member of a group was simultaneously asleep. 18 minutes. The group was never fully unconscious at the same time. The staggered schedule was not random individual variation. It was a system, an emergent, evolutionarily maintained watch rotation that no one had assigned and no one had to follow, because natural selection had already baked it in. Sleep, for most of human history, was a collective defense. And that changes what the nightly ritual at the beginning of this story actually represents. The locked door, the controlled temperature, the phone silenced. All of it is technology built to replicate, artificially, the conditions under which the ancient brain agreed to lower its guard. The warmth that signals enclosed space. The darkness that signals a canopy overhead. The ambient sound of others nearby, a partner's breathing, the distant noise of a neighborhood that tells the nervous system the watch rotation is covered. The modern human climbs into bed and feels safe. That feeling did not come from architecture. It came from 2 million years of surviving the night in a group, on the ground, under an open sky. The mattress is new. The need it answers is not. When the lights go off tonight, the system running beneath consciousness is the same one that ran in a Tanzanian savanna 200,000 years ago. It is checking. Listening, calculating, it never fully stopped.